Ever notice the New Thought people wandering around the planet? Oh, when's the next workshop? When's the next book? When is the next class that I'm going to have so I can find out what I'm looking for? I'm looking for God. I'm looking for peace. I'm looking for goodness. I'm looking for meaning. I'm looking for the life I've always desired. And I still haven't found what I'm looking for, so I perpetually search and seek, and I'm going left and right and all around trying to find that which seems so incredibly elusive. Reminded me of a story. There was once upon a time, there was a school of fish, and they would get together in the ocean, and they would have conversations about this amazing, beautiful, wonderful thing called water. Water. And they would pray, oh water, we seek thee. And they would have chants about the water, Om water. Oh, of the ancient times, and they would share of ancient texts that had been written about this amazing, mysterious thing called water, and they would go in search of it. They would go east and west, north and south, up and down, looking for this water, but they still hadn't found what they were looking for. Yet there it was, right smack dab in the middle of where they were. They were looking for something, desperate to know water, when water was actually right in the center of where they were gathering already. A lot of New Thought people are like that. We still haven't found what we're looking for, so we keep searching, and maybe there's a different answer. How many people remember when you were a kid? Maybe they still do it in school today. It's been a lot of years since I was in school, but they would call your name. Roll call, right? Roll call. Burdick, here. Linda, Naimia. I was saying that earlier, Naimia. I'm so glad you joined our church. Has anybody seen her? She's not here yet. The universe is constantly and perpetually asking us, are you present? Are you here? Are you present and accounted for? And if you're not busy looking left, right, north, south, up and down, you're not really present. And we miss that which we're seeking. We miss that which is absolutely breathing us, because we're so desperate to find it. Anybody recognize that? I've been there. I've done that. I'm not the only one, though. I begin with a story. A young Native American boy. He was setting out on his month-long journey. A spirit quest to become a man. To become what he was destined to be. And he turned to the elder of the tribe because he was scared to be gone for a whole month into the wilderness. And he said, what shall I do if I get lost in the forest? Anybody ever asked that? What shall I do if I get lost in the forest? And the elder paused for a moment, looked at the young brave in the eyes, and replied, stand still. The trees ahead and the bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is a place called here. By the way, several times today I'm going to say roll call, and when I say roll call, I want you to put your hand up and yell, here. And you must treat it as a powerful stranger. You must ask permission to know it and to be known. The forest breathes. Listen. It whispers, I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may always come back again, saying, here. No two trees are the same to raven, and no two branches are the same to wren. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. Roll call. God, as life itself, is a forest. And sometimes there's a clear path, and sometimes it's a dense thicket, but it's life. Sometimes it's convoluted, sometimes it's simple, but at any given moment, God is still present as the forest itself. But we go into the thicket, we go north, south, east, west, looking for it when it's right there if we just stand still and breathe. And it knows where we are at all times. It matters not what's going on in the chaotic world of the forest. It matters more that we stand still and allow ourselves to be found. We must slow down and let it find us. How many parents in the room, or maybe as a kid you had that designated place your parents would say, if you go to a theme park, you're going into a chaotic environment, this is the meeting place. This is the designated meeting place. If you get lost, we will look for you here. Right? We had that? God is saying the same thing to us. There is a designated meeting place, but we're so busy looking, but we haven't found it. We're over here, we're over there, we're everywhere but the meeting place, the standing still, the quiet place, the place of presence, the place of being, the place where God has always been. This past week has been a wonderful opportunity for me. Anybody else have a kind of an interesting week? I won't call it bad or good, I'm going to call it interesting. I had the chance to walk through the proverbial forest a number of times. I was in a lot of thicket, wondering if I was lost or if I was finding my way. At any given moment, I was one or the other. I'm going to talk about that today. But it was lost or found. Remember the old hymn? I once was lost. Sing it with me. But now am found. Was blind, but now I see. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. God has this great hook going, where did you go? You were looking and you were seeking right where you were, and there I was, and you went looking north and south to find me. Luckily, because of the unity principles that we teach in this community, I found myself getting through the forest and arrived at my intended destination, which was peace. What's your intended destination? Call it out. Wherever you are, call it out, your intended destination. Happiness, love, peace, joy. What else? Call it out again. Hope. Present. All of it is a destination. I'm going to go find peace. I'll be right back. I'm going to go find love. I'm going to go find hope. Maybe it's over there because I'm not finding it here. You're never going to find it out here. You never will find it. It's a perpetual state of suffering. You're going to find it here. Right now the camera crew is not having peace because I've moved from one side of the stage to the other. And they're like, stop, stand, listen, be quiet, stay in one frame. It's exactly what the universe is saying to us. Stop, breathe, stand still, and be present. Roll call. Here. It's a peace that looked this week a lot more like standing still than it did frantically searching or trying to make things happen. Anybody try? I am a Virgo, so I have that tendency. I'm going to make this happen. Moses said that, and Moses never got to the promised land. He was relying solely on his own individual power and wisdom, and he didn't have it within him. He had to go to some place higher, deeper within himself, and that was the place of God. Now, in full disclosure, I would love to tell you that it was just one moment of here, and I was there. I was with Reverend Jerry at a minister's retreat, and I was a little bit out of my comfort zone. There was a series of here moments. Luckily, I was surrounded by colleagues who kept me present. Here, breathe. God found me. I didn't find God. Peace found me. I did not find peace, but it only came about through being still and quiet. As the poem said, if you leave it, you may come back again and again and again, saying, here. Together, here. With each new here came new realities, came deeper peace and deeper lessons. You know, it's no accident that I chose the title for today's talk, Here, when I had this particular week. I was up here on the platform with Jay Ivey, who was a 3-time Grammy Award winner, and Daji, who is like a guru from India, and I'm going, I feel about this big. And I panicked. How in the world am I going to connect these two people? Why are they on the stage at the same time? There's very little in common with these two people. I once was lost, very lost, but then I spent some time in their presence before coming up on this platform, and I found the similarity and the oneness and the good and the holiness that was the same in them as it was in me. And suddenly I had two friends, not two icons and heroes, but two friends. Anybody here Wednesday night? I hope you enjoyed the evening as much as I did. It was a beautiful night and a real feather in Unity North's cap to have these two icons here, finding our way through the desert of this human experience. I want to share the lessons that I got this week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with the ministers. Lesson number 1, you cannot sleepwalk your way through life. Say that with me. You cannot unconsciously walk your way into your dream, into your destiny, or your intended life. You cannot mindlessly walk yourself into peace, going north, south, east, west. Oh, water, I must be water. You can't find joy and abundance if you're walking around the planet unconscious. You must be intentional and purposeful about the principles that we share here. And if your spiritual path depends solely on what's happening here on Sunday morning, you're in trouble. It's a 24/7, 365 a day, a year job. Roll call. Here. And then let's take that and put your hand here. Instead of putting your hand up, roll call. Here. The single most important aspect of our spiritual journey and all the principles that we teach is to pay attention. And to pay attention to what you're paying attention to. See if you see any screams from the booth in a minute. See what you're paying attention to. See what you're paying attention to. Oh water, oh God, oh peace, oh joy, oh love. They're up there just screaming at me right now. And the reality is I look a lot like that in my life. I've spent a lot of time there. But when it comes to the forest around us and within us, we have to be mindful, which is simply the word that describes paying attention to what you're paying attention to. Roll call. Here. Some of you are like, welcome to the United States of America. That means paying attention to the shadows as well as the light in the forest. They are equally important. Anybody got shadows? I do. We have shadows and we have light. We pay attention to all of it as the vehicle, the portal, and the tool to discover the God that's been waiting on the inside for us. It's awareness of the deep woods as well as the clear paths. And we're so narrow-minded in our focus half the time. I got to see the path. And when I don't see the path, I'm lost. I'm afraid. I'm scared. The thicket is leading you to the path if you pay attention to it. The wren will tell you where to go. The raven will tell you where to go. The crow, the forest, the trees, the tall people, we like to call them, David Castledini somewhere. The tall people will guide you to the clear path. But we have to be having an awareness of the faith and the fear all at the same time because it has something to teach us, to guide us into a higher understanding of ourselves. And if we are fleeing the fear or the faith, we're not going to make it home. We will be lost. But you're only one breath and one moment from being back there again. Here. Say that with me. No matter how dense the thicket might feel, you are one moment, one thought, one feeling from being home. Presence opens the pathway to possibility. It clears the pathway to solutions, to wisdom, and to healing and well-being. Presence clears away the confusion and fear and opens the pathway for clarity, for guidance, for God, and for peace. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. Breathe. Let it go. Lesson number 2 from Richard's week in hell. Let's read it together. Life is better viewed from the inside out than the outside in. At this minister's retreat earlier this week, we kept coming back to one topic over and over again. There was not a formal structure to the event, but a lot of conversation. But you get 12 ministers in the room, and they ended up on this subject over and over again, and it was identity. How do you identify yourself? Self-identity. Really important. If I identify myself with the powers and the realities that are outside of me, conditions, and the responsibilities and the jobs and the tasks that I do, I am in a perpetual state of slavery to conditions. If I only define myself by what I do or the labels and titles I have, I am a slave to the conditions of my life. If I define myself by what I do or what I have, I am captive to the circumstances of superficial non-realities that are dictating my well-being or not. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. An indication that I'm living from the outside in and not the inside out. I'm imprisoned by the conditions that I have no control over. If, on the other side of that equation, I identify with what I am, with what I have always been, and I will always be pure God essence. Hand on your heart, I am pure God essence. Together. Then I become the master of the forest of my life, and I cannot be lost. Lost does not exist there. Lost, out of control, defensiveness, knee-jerk reactions. I cannot be lost if I ground with that forest that is within me, that knows where I am, and I let it find me. Stand still. There is a part of yourself, this is what the poem says, that is asking to know and to be known. There is an essence of you. Every time we get together, all we're doing is reminding you that there's a part of you that wants to be known, that wants to be seen, that wants to be held, that wants to be remembered. Yes, and we remember that for a moment. Oh, great water. I'm going to go over here, the next workshop, the next book, the next class. The sitting in the sermon going, it was a good sermon, it was a bad sermon. If what I say up here is the basis of your foundational spiritual path, we're all in trouble. Its presence, whether you're sitting in this room, at the Baptist church, in the forest, in the back, in the middle of chaos, in the middle of a family reunion, wherever it happens to be, at work, it is presence that keeps you from being lost. Roll call. How do you identify yourself? Lesson number 3. Together, silence is necessary. You may notice that I'm leaving a little bit more space in my talk today. It's very, very intentional. Silence is not the absence of chaos. Silence is not the absence of sound. Silence is not even the absence of stress, a forest that looks like stress. It's the full awareness that every voice but one is silent within me. Hand on heart, every voice but God's be still in me now. That's from A Course in Miracles. Say it again. Every voice but God's be still in me now. But that's not very complex. That's not very intellectual. Oh, great water. Have we overcomplicated in our theologies and in our search and in our hunger? Have we overcomplicated presence? I believe yes, a resounding yes. There is a still small voice within us saying roll call, no matter how ugly, no matter how stressful or tense or combative it might be on the outside. And I will not play that game anymore. I've played it for a long time. And my colleagues at the Ministers' Retreat called me out on it. There was a roll call happening this week, and it happened with Dodgy. I made a really good connection with Jay Ivey. It was a roll call. Presence and silence. Unless we cultivate the ability to know silence within ourselves, we will become afraid. Plain and simple. The forest will be a very scary and a very dangerous place. When all voices but one are muted, our attention can flower. Our spiritual path can flower into guidance, into clarity, into wisdom and intuition. Within the silence is an infinite well of wisdom and knowledge, insight, and being. The world can be falling apart around you, but you're not participating in it. The forest can be dark and thick, yet there is peace. And you know that you cannot be lost. You cannot be separate from that which you are. Hand on heart again. I cannot be separate from that which I am. Together, I cannot be separate from that which I am. And internal silence becomes the cause of a new reality on the outside. It's inside-out living. It is identification with something greater. It is silence, no matter how you behave. It is silence and peace, no matter who wins an election. It is silence and it is peace, no matter how ugly somebody was speaking just a moment ago. As I reflect on the good that has made its way to my life, very rarely, and this is hard for a Virgo to admit, right, Julie? Very rarely did I have to go out seeking for that good. I went out, I'm going to make it happen. Moses lives in me. I'd love to say I made it all happen. It was by right of me making it so that I manifested all of it. But in truth, it didn't show up until I stopped thinking and even till I stopped feeling and I got into a place of being and presence. Roll call. Here. Roll call. Here. Roll call. Here. My prosperity, and I feel abundant today, and in this universe very abundant, came as a result of presence, not panic. My health, today, I'm healthier than I've ever been for 62 years. It has come as a result of presence, not fear. Greater opportunities have come to me about through presence, not through more striving, not through more searching, not through another workshop, not through another book, but simply being present. And the forest found me. God found me. Health, prosperity, love, all found me. Love has always found me when I quit worrying about being lost. And I invite the band to come up. Could it be that with all our striving and all our pursuing, that presence is more important than effort? Let me state, without any question, an emphatic yes. Presence is more important than effort. Now, is effort important? Absolutely, but not more so than presence. Presence informs my effort. Presence must inform my seeking or my searching, or I'm still not going to find what I'm looking for. Effort will not produce presence. Anybody ever see somebody go into meditation? Okay, I can do this. I'm going to meditate now. I'm meditating. I'm still, I'm quiet. God and I are one. Doesn't work that way. Presence must precede the effort, the seeking, and the searching. You know, one thing I've learned is that if I'm going to get myself in trouble, I have gotten myself into some pickles, backed myself into some corners. I've gone the wrong way and I've gotten lost. It was my mouth, my head, and my heart that got me there, not my spirit, not my presence. And when it comes to internal anxiety, I've spent most of my life, most of my 62 years in anxiety and fear and stress. It was not my spirit that put me there. It was my mind. It was my heart that got me into those states. And so I'm going to offer a John Rodell poem. I'm going to invite you to just play anything you want, Tom. It doesn't matter what you play, I will be focused. You can play Beethoven and Rachmaninoff if you want, or you can play Enya. Presence. This is a John Rodell poem that I invite you to take very seriously as my challenge for the day. My brain and my heart divorced a decade ago over who was to blame about how big of a mess I had become. Eventually, they couldn't be in the same room with each other anymore. Now my head and my heart share custody of me. I stay with my brain during the week, and my heart gets me on the weekends. They never speak to one another. Instead, they give me the same note to pass to each other every single week. And their notes they send always say the same thing. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. On Sundays, my heart complains about how my head has let me down in the past. And on Wednesday, my head lists all the times that my heart has screwed things up for me in the future. and they both blame my mouth. They blame each other for the state of my life. There's been a lot of yelling, a lot of crying. And so lately I've been spending a lot of time with my gut, who serves as my unofficial therapist. Roll call. Most nights, I sneak out the window in my rib cage, and I slide down my spine, and I collapse on my gut's plush leather chair. It's always open for me. And I just sit here until the sun comes up. Last evening, my gut asked me if I was having a hard time being caught between the heart and my head, and I nodded. I said, I don't know if I could live with either of them anymore. My heart is always sad about something that happened yesterday, while my head is always worried about something that may happen tomorrow. I lamented, and my gut just squeezed my hand. Roll call. Here. I just can't live with the mistakes of my past or the anxiety about my future, I sighed. And my gut smiled and said, in that case, you should go stay with your lungs for a while. Breath. I was confused. The look on my face gave it away. Water, water. Oh God, oh God, oh God. If you are exhausted about your heart's obsession with the fixed past and your mind's focus on the uncertain future, your lungs are the perfect place for you. Breathe. There is no yesterday in your lungs. There is no tomorrow there either. There is only now. There is only inhale. There is only exhale. There is only the moment. There is only here. There is only breath. And in that breath, you can rest while your heart and your head work their relationship out. This morning, while my brain was busy reading tea leaves and my heart was staring at old photographs, I packed a little bag and I walked to the door of my lungs. Before I could even knock, she opened the door with a smile and a gust of air. A gust of air that embraced me. And she said, "What took you so long? What shall I do if I get lost? What shall I do if I get lost?" Roll call. Here. Roll call. Roll call. Let's be here now. Let's allow ourselves to be known in this incredible, beautiful, magnificent, chaotic forest called Earth, called life, called everything.